I think tech regulation is still a concern. It's obviously much less of a concern than if we'd had Blue Wave, but it's still a concern. But I think that's not the only tech concern. Let's not forget that one reason tech was selling off last month was because the earnings that they came out with, which were pretty good, and the forecasts that they came out with that were okay, the guidance they came out with, which was okay, actually it fell short of some of the really high expectations that are placed on the big tech now. So our big worry is, one, there is still some reg risk, and two, these are still priced to perfection. They're priced to being able to achieve growth rates that it's just very, very difficult to see how they can do that. If we continue in any kind of COVID constrained world, that implies some sort of constraint on their revenues. And if we recover from COVID, well, then actually the COVID positioning that they benefited from, that goes away too. So it's really hard to see how tech's going to keep doing that. And interestingly, one thing that's outperformed tech over the last few days has been, what we were talking about last month as an all-weather play, which is the gold miners. Gold miners, I think, are up 10% if you look at GDX over the last 4 days. So I think there's other places where investors could go that are going to help them if we get a protracted sort of contested situation, and also maybe are going to help next year when tech is really going to struggle, I think, to hit these real stretch targets that it set itself.
Paul, while we're on the subject of tech, and very good morning, by the way, let's just talk about Ant Financial here, because it seems to me you've expressed in the past a preference for buying Chinese tech over American tech companies. And yet, haven't we seen, with this surprise move around Ant and the suspension of its IPO, a massive warning signal to anybody investing in Chinese tech businesses that the rules and the regulations can change very rapidly and unpredictably?
Yeah, good morning, Jeff. And yeah, absolutely. You and I might think that the biggest, I think, concern to us is that the markets seem, complacent about that. One of the best performers actually over the last few days has been China Internet. If you look at EMQQ, which is the emerging market internet ETF, but it's 80% China. You look at that, and that's been one of the best performing tickers anywhere. So there's still a lot to run in the long-term Chinese tech story. What happens with regulation in China is every bit as much of a risk as it is in the States. And frankly, Chinese tech is no longer as cheap as it once was. So it's not an obvious entry point right now. We're pretty comfortable to be watching that one. But I agree with you about the risk, and the market just seems to be completely blinkered about that.